Hello everyone, it's me again. I am back, and if you've been watching the other videos, you will see that I am in a slightly different location. I've got some books behind me suggesting a certain intelligence, maybe because I've obviously read all of those books. And yeah, so I mean, again, like last time, if you saw the coming out series of videos, I referenced my one solitary subscriber, and I am both astonished and surprised and delighted to see that that has jumped to five. Although one of them is me and another one is my girlfriend, so I know, realistically maybe that's three. But hey, that's fantastic. I have grown fivefold in the last few days, so that's brilliant. And maybe even some of these people are watching the videos. I'm not watching it myself, but maybe some of you are, and hopefully you're finding them interesting and useful. Anyway, in this video today, this is going to be a kind of a quick-ish one because I have planned a much longer and slightly darker video that I'll be recording pretty much immediately after this. And I figured before that, I'll do something a little bit more fun, a little bit shorter, and sticking kind of to the ethos of this channel about kind of low effort stuff and content. So the other video is going to be, it's got sources, it's got script. So I want to do something a little bit more kind of like closer to the spirit of this channel before I launch into that one. So with this video, I thought what I'd do is talk a little bit about some queer fiction that I have been reading, exposed to, and maybe I'll turn this into a bit of a series. I'm going to talk about some short stories in a bit more detail, but I just want to reference some of the things you might look forward to me talking about. There is The Left Hand of Darkness, which is kind of like one of those necessary texts, I think, for trans people. And I have this very big, thick book called Berlin, which was also very interesting. And I'll talk a bit about those maybe one day. I guess I'm showcasing my credentials at this point. But I wanted to talk a little bit about a couple of stories by a writer. He's a science fiction writer. And I came across him in a fairly obscure sort of best of science fiction collection when I was listening to audiobooks on Audible. And this particular story, when I listened to it the first time, I think on a plane, it just absolutely devastated me. And I've kind of come back to it a couple of times. I've listened to it once again. I've read it because the author has a website where you can access a lot of his stories. And it just absolutely, each time, the last time I read it out loud to my girlfriend, I couldn't even finish telling it because it just, oh my God, it just absolutely devastated me. And I'm kind of surprised that I'm not tearing up already just at the thought of it. That story is called Carved, and it's by an author called Sam J. Miller. And I'll put the link to that story in the description of this video so that you can find it. It's freely available on his website. And actually, he's got the story itself, and it's also got a link to an audio recording as well, if you prefer to listen to it. I'm not going to talk about that, actually, because if you are going to go and read it, I would prefer you to do so, like relatively spoiler free. All I will say is that it's a science fiction story, and as a parent, as a child, it really resonated, and the ending was just absolutely, each time I read that story, it just devastates me. It's amazing. You have to read it. If you want to be devastated and in floods of tears, then check it out. But I'm going to talk about another story that he wrote called, wait a second, I just got to check what it's called. I should have got this up on the screen previously. I'm so disorganized. Oh my God. This is what I mean when I say we are, this whole thing is about lack of research and lack of where is it? This is terrible. Come on, I'm trying to navigate this thing. It is called, scroll. It is called want to make sure. Things with Beards. I was going to call it Men with Beards, but it's called Things with Beards. And it's a very interesting story. It's a bit of like a fan fiction sequel to the movie The Thing, specifically the one that was the John Carpenter one. And it kind of imagines just after that. And it's a very interesting take on it because it imagines the main hero of that story as a gay man. But what really resonates with me with this story is it talks very much about the way that you have to hide this. And it kind of imagines homosexuality as a kind of a monster, something that has to remain hidden. And whenever that monster becomes unveiled, it's this very destructive, very kind of subconscious primal force. And I found it very interesting in the way that it talked about the lengths that people go to try to hide this kind of inner self, how you almost have to lie to yourself in order to keep these things hidden, and almost that drive, that force, that inner sort of queerness or gayness in the sense of this story, it's kind of fighting to emerge, and it almost controls you in an unconscious way. It's kind of an interesting tale, and I think as a sequel to The Thing, I think a lot of people, when I first read it, it was very much like, oh, that's quite silly. But then you look at the subtext and you think about the kind of the deeper sort of way that he's talking about, I guess, his experience. But as I say, it connected with me as well. And it was quite an interesting story. So Things with Beards, check it out. And I'd actually recommend you going to Sam Miller's website and reading several of his other stories, because he's very much, this is very much a kind of a theme that he has across a lot of his short stories. And his short stories are very, very, very readable. I highly recommend them. So that's the first of perhaps many of the of queer fiction, and I thought I'd start with this one because maybe you haven't heard of this person, and my 5 subscribers, well, 4 not including me, maybe you would be motivated to go and find him and check him out, because maybe he's a little bit more obscure, so it's a bit of a recommendation. Okay, so that's it. I just wanted to get something sort of short and sweet out of the way before I launch into something a little bit more kind of scary and meaningful. So stick around, that will probably come a couple of days after this one is released. So I hope that you will see that and enjoy that. And otherwise, enjoy the rest of the videos. Thank you very much. Goodbye.